Hello, welcome back to school. I was just now watching a video on YouTube, and this person was talking about how how Chopin's etudes were to display virtuosity, and talking about the metronome markings being super fast and all this other stuff. And he says, well, Chopin wrote the metronome markings really high because this is a virtuistic, thing that people are supposed to aim for, and yada, yada, yada. And with working through the Hennen book, The Virtuoso Pianist, I thought, well, what exactly does virtuosity mean? Does it mean that you're just playing super, super fast and really, really fast? So I looked this up, and this is Google. Let's see what it says.
Virtuosity.
Okay, so it doesn't give you the word. Well, it gives you the word, but it doesn't read out the definition. So the definition here says, great skill in music or other artistic pursuit. And the example is the performance of considerable virtuosity. Now, just for curiosity, I'm going to go to the 1828 dictionary. If I remember that year correctly. This is a dictionary that was widely used. I think it's Webster's second edition. So let's see. We're going to look up Oops, that's a misspelling. Virtuoso. Virtuoso is the closest. Oh, virtuous. Let's look up virtuoso. Oh, it just did it work? Yeah, there it is. Virtuoso means, it's a noun, a man skilled in the fine arts, particularly in music, or a man skilled in antiquities, curiosities, and the like. I don't know if I'm reading that right. Virtuoso, the Italians called a man who loves the noble arts and is a critic of them. So that is that. It says nothing about speed. Little bottom part says, very interesting, that the Italians called a man who loves the noble arts and is a critic, a virtuoso. So I was just wanting to see what the 1828 dictionary said. Back to Google. Somewhere around here there is a synonym. Okay, let's see what this one says. Virtuosity. Plural. Virtuosities. Synonyms of virtuosity. We'll look at those later. The first definition says great technical skill as practice in a fine arts. 2. The taste for or interest in virtue. All right, let's see what the synonyms are. Virtuosity, noun. As in proficiency. Formal, great ability or skill shown by musicians, performer, etc. Her virtuosity on the piano is amazing. There are synonyms here. Relevance. I don't know what that is. Well, that must be like the ones that show up first. So, proficiency. These are synonyms of virtuosity. Proficiency, experience, expertise, mastership, IQ. I don't know what that is, but okay. Practice, command, hang. That's weird. Acquaintance. Let's see. There's mastery, facility, skills, fluency, literacy, practice, intimacy. I can't read. Intimacy. Intimacy. I don't know if that's right. Know-how or familiarity. I can't read that either. So, none of these words talk anything about or speak anything about speed. Let's just for giggles, let's look up some of these definitions. Proficiency. Proficiency is a noun and it means as in mastery. Highly developed skill in or knowledge of something. Let's look up the next word. Experience. Definition of experience as in skills. Knowledge gained by actually doing or living through something. Nothing about speed in that one. Expertise. Expertise is a noun, as in skills. The knowledge gained by actually doing or living through something. I guess it's the same definition. Experience and expertise. Okay. Mastership. Let's look up that one. Mastership, the definition is, as in proficiency, a highly developed skill in or knowledge of something. Let's look up IQ just for giggles. These are all synonyms for virtuosity. IQ, as in proficiency, a I can't read. A highly developed skill in or knowledge of something. It didn't go back. Practice. Practice. Variance, also practice. Practise, which has a different definition. 1. As in rehearsal, a private performance or session of preparation for a public performance. Okay. Command. So far, none of these have dealt with speed or nothing along that lines of how fast or how slow, but they're rather talking about the skill of whether or not if you can perform something or experience something. The definition of skill as in instruction. A statement of what to do that must be obeyed by those concerned. So, hang, I don't know what this is, but it's kind of interesting. As to swing, that's the wrong definition. as to depend. This is interesting. To be determined by, based on, or subject to. As to the droop. And none of these are really lining up with any of what we're looking for. As to the base, a fixed, to find a basis. I don't know why that's on there. Acquaintance. I can't read. As in familiarity. I can't read that word either. Knowledge gained by personal experience. Oh, does that say acquaintance? The next word here says mastery. Mastery says, as in proficiency, a highly developed skill in or knowledge of something. Facility. This will be interesting. Facility, as in an institution. Oh, as in that says institution and structure. Okay, so we don't need that because that's dealing with a physical building. Scrolling down. Okay, we're not finding any of the, Okay, institution is out because, or facility is out because it doesn't have the right definition. Skills. Skills is a noun, and it is the plural. As in expertise, the knowledge gained by actually doing or living through something. So, skills and expertise kind of go together. Fluency. Fluency, as in proficiency, a state of having mastery of or proficiency in a skill. Okay. Just out of curiosity, what is proficiency? It doesn't let you click on proficiency. Let's see what proficiency is. Proficiency, as in mastery, a highly developed skill or knowledge in something. Let's see. Literacy. As in the education, the understanding and information gained from being educated. Synonyms. Okay, so this could be the literacy of reading the notes or something on a staff. Practice, spelt with a S after the first C. As in rehearsal, a private performance or a session in preparation for public performance. I was told in England or in Britain or something, they have the two words, and one of them means like to physically practice an instrument. And the other one is like the practice of, like, I don't know, something it is that you do. Like, I have a practice in medicine, or I have a practice in carpentry or something, versus the practice of I'm going to go practice my instrument, or I'm going to go practice my dance moves or whatever. I don't know where I learned that, and I forget which one is what, but that's kind of interesting. Okay, the next word, intimacy. Intimacy, a as in familiar. I can't say this word. As in familiarity. I tried. We'll work on pronunciation later. The state of being in a very personal or private relationship. So if somebody is familiar with their music, they are intimate with it. Know-how. The definition of know-how, as in expertise, knowledge gained by actually doing something or living through something. Okay, so and then here's the familiarity again. Is there like a thing of how to say it? No. As in intimacy, the state of being in a very personal or private relationship. So none of these words that are synonyms of virtuosity, because we're looking up virtuosity, have anything to do with how fast or how slow one can play or do something. But rather, it's the skill of doing it at all. I could say, my brother is a let me think how to say this. My brother is virtuistic with auto mechanic or fixing cars or whatever. He has a greater virtuosity. He has a greater virtuosity in fixing cars than I do. He has more skill in fixing cars than I do. So in that realm, he has virtuosity. In the realm of music, I have greater virtuosity than he does. So technically, I am a virtuoso in music because I have greater skill. I can understand it. I can read the notes and all that other stuff. And my brother cannot. But on the other hand, if he were to point to me some part of the car, under the engine or under the hood or whatever, I wouldn't know what it is, but he would. So virtuosity does not have anything to do with speed, but rather to do with your knowledge of whatever it is that you're doing, your command of the knowledge over it. Let's look at some antonyms and see what they say. So these are words that are the opposite of knowledge. Incompetence, ignorance, unfamiliarity, incompetency, illiteracy. And all these words mean that you do not have the knowledge to do something. Incompetence. I am incompetent, or I have great incompetency of fixing cars. My brother has ignorance of reading piano music. My brother has illiteracy in music reading. He does not read music. He cannot read the notes. Unfamiliarity. My brother is unfamiliar with reading orchestra scores. I would be unfamiliar with fixing a spark plug or something on a car, or, fixing the brake pads or whatever. So the word virtuoso or virtuosity just means the proficiency of whether or not if you can do something or not. And I can see this as graduated levels, that a student who is first beginning to learn music or any other skill, they're not going to have very great virtuosity, but they're going to have some because they're learning. Someone who's been playing for a number of years, they're going to have greater virtuosity than someone who has only just started 6 months ago. Someone who has been playing for decades has more virtuosity than someone who's been playing for, a number of years. So there's different levels, and it doesn't mean that the poor lad that just started 6 months ago is any dumber or whatnot than the guy that's been playing for decades. Music and other skills, art, drawing, that's what they are. They're skills. You can't gauge them by you've quote unquote reached the top. But they're skills to be pursued for enjoyment and enjoyment of others. But yeah. So that's virtuosity. We've looked up the synonyms, and there's nothing that talks about how fast or how slow to perform the piece of music. This one says practice skill as in practice of a fine art, the taste or interest in virtue. Oh, that was the definition of virtuosity. So that is that. Let me see what else. Pronunciation, meaning, virtuosity in English, Cambridge Dictionary, master, meaning and definitions. Yeah. So there's nothing in here. Let's see. Oh, dictionary. Was I just at dictionary.com? I don't know what dictionary I was on. Quiz. I don't want to take a quiz right now. I really don't want to take a quiz. I'm not finding what I'm looking for. That page is not good. Here, Wikipedia, virtuoso. Although, as with anything on the internet, you can't believe everything you read. But hopefully some of the common stuff is pretty common, but then again, some of the common stuff is not very common anymore. Virtuoso. From the Italian, virtuoso. And then it has the phonetic pronunciation. So, interesting. You can put the stress, you could put it on virtuoso, or you could put virtuoso. Virtuoso, late Latin, virtuosus, Latin virtus, virtue, excellence, or skill. So knowing the root words of where these words come from often help of defining what they are. As in the individual who possesses outstanding talent or technical ability in particular art or field, such as the fine arts, music, singing, playing a musical instrument, or composition. Okay. I've got some bones to pick on that because nobody comes out of the womb with outstanding talent and technical ability in anything. Most children, pretty much all children that are born, they're helpless. They can't even wipe their own butt. They have to be taught these things. So, yeah. Okay, the meaning of the word also refers to a person who has cultivated an appreciation for artistic excellence, either as a connoisseur or collector. The plural of virtuoso is either virtuosi or the anglicization. I've never seen that word before. Virtuosos. The feminine form of are virtuosa and virtuose. That is very interesting. I did not know that there was a feminine form of virtuosa or virtuoso. I learned something new. According to the music in Western civilization, by Weiss and Taruskin, a virtuoso was originally a highly accomplished musician, but by the 19th century, the term has become replaced to the performer, both vocal and instrumental, whose technical accomplishments were so pronounced as to dazzle the public. I can think of Liszt right now. Yeah, I don't know. The defining element of virtuosity is the performance ability of a musician in question who is capable of displaying feats of all skill well above the average performer. Okay, so now we're getting into the realm of like the 1% of musical people who like they come from a musical family. They're given every opportunity to pursue music, well, provided that's what they want. I mean, that's the other thing. The child doesn't want to do music. They want to do sports or something. Don't force them into something that they're not going to do, because they're going to resent you the rest of their lives. So yeah. I don't know. I'm not real big on this definition of virtuoso on Wikipedia. All the other definitions talk about the skill of doing something. Wikipedia, I think, is the only one that I've ran across that talks about like doing it to a dazzling level, which I'm wondering if that's even right. Okay. So that is the virtuosity. I can't say the word. Virtuosity. Let me just out of curiosity. Let's look up the oops, I can't spell. The virtuoso pianist. The virtuoso piano 60 exercises. Okay. Pass through all the books. Amazon, you can buy a copy. Sheet music, Amazon again. What is a virtuoso pianist? Franz Liszt is usually held up as first great virtuoso pianist, yet for many remain merely a showman whose virtuosity is a negative attribute. A poseur and a charlatan, superficial and bombastic, whose playing and music was affected, grandiose, and vigor. From my research, I think Franz Liszt and people who played like that for public, I think this was around like when the aesthetics of music was changing and the public just wanted to see basically like stage monkeys perform, complicated stuff. But whether or not if he played like that in private, more than likely he may not have, because it wasn't his style. Are the Hanon exercises good? Let's see. There is no denying that practicing the Hanon exercises can be beneficial for pianists. These exercises are designed to improve finger strength, dexterity, and speed, all of which can be helpful by playing pieces with complex fingering or fast passages. Again, they are emphasizing fast passages. Who wrote Hanon? Who was the best pianist of all time? How much does the virtuoso pianist make? What? Concert pianist salary. Let's see. Can you get dinner on the table? Annual salary. If you are top, you get $1,100. If you're in the 75th percentile, you get 222. I can't read these big numbers. $52,000. Okay, if you're in the 12th or the 25th percentile, you only get $22,500. Yeah. So, yeah. I was gonna take these numbers and divide them by 12 to see exactly what you get a month, and see whether or not if your practice time is worth that. Because they don't pay you for practicing, which is like more than half the work. So yeah. Wikipedia has the virtuoso pianist of 60 exercises. Let's read this and see what it says.
The advanced level of Hanon entails shaking fingering exercise.
Stop! It won't stop. It just kept going. Well, he didn't go where I heard it wanted it to go, but yeah. That's number 60. You don't hear that played too often. I think I found it once on YouTube a long time ago. And looking at, just listen to that. Well, let's go back and listen to it and see what, I forget what those are written as, but
the advanced level of Hanon entails shaking fingering exercise.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like a moderate tempo. D. Yeah. I think that thing deals a lot with forearm rotation, which you wouldn't be able to play that if you're just doing fingers alone because you'll damage your fingers. You won't be able to play for the rest of your life. Yeah, that one definitely uses forearm rotation. Okay, number, and that's at like a moderate tempo. It's not really that fast. The virtuoso pianist, le pianiste virtuose, or something like that. I failed my French class, so yeah. 18 by Charles Louis Arnaud, 1819 to 1900, is a compilation okay, is a compilation of 60 exercises meant to train the pianist in speed, precision, agility, and strength of all the fingers and flexibility of the wrists, hence number 60. See, told you that last one dealt with rotation of the forearm, which basically is also rotation of the wrist. First published in, oh my gosh, Bologna in 1873. The virtuoso pianist is Haydn's most well-known work, probably his only well-known work. I've not heard any compositions written by this guy, like music, sonatas, symphonies, concerti, nothing. And is still widely used by piano instructors and pupils. However, the applicability of these 19th century exercises have been questioned by some piano instructors today. Overview. The virtuoso pianist, I'm just like making up stuff. The exercises are intended to address common problems which could hamper the performance ability of a student. These include crossing of the thumb, strengthening of the fourth and fifth finger, and quadruple and triple trills. The exercises are meant to be individually mastered and then played consecutively in the sections they are placed in. Sections they are placed in. So don't go playing exercise number 4 before you've done exercise number 2. Yeah, so you gotta go from like 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 60. Not jumping around. Apart from increasing technical ability of the student, when played in groups at higher speeds, the exercises will also help increase endurance. The exercises are divided into 3 parts. Number 1, exercise 1 to 20, labeled preparatory exercises, these are also the most famous exercises and are used to develop finger strength and independence. Each exercise contains a sequence of 8 semiquavers beginning on C, which is then repeated starting on D, and so on across 2 octaves. The exercise is then repeated in reverse down 2 octaves to the starting C. The exercises are intended to be practiced in groups of 3, except for the first 2, which are practiced together. Interesting. I did not know that. Number 2. Exercises 21 to 43 are labeled further exercise for development of a virtuoso technique. I'm assuming that's a direct quote from the book. This more difficult section is more meant to be played after the pianist has fully mastered part 1. Part 2 includes scales and arpeggios. Which I was looking through my Hanon book and I saw that the scales are written, I think they go up 4 octaves, like it's all written out. Whereas in my scale book, it's only written up 2 octaves. But we did have to play them at 4 octaves. So yeah. And the Hanon book doesn't have all the different variations, but I don't know. They're in there. At least the basic scales are in there, basic arpeggios. But I'd still recommend getting the Mastering Scales and Mastering the Scales and Arpeggios. That book you will not get bored with. Exercise 44 to 60 are labeled virtuoso exercises for mastering the greatest technical difficulties. Again, assuming that's a quote. I'm thinking that's a quote from the book. Since this section is commonly more difficult, Hanon recommends the mastery of both previous parts before proceeding to this one. So don't go jumping to number 60 before you've done number 25. And don't go jumping to 25 before you've done number 3. There. Start at the first page, work your way up. The first part includes our repeated notes, repeated doubled notes, scales in thirds and octaves, tremolos, and more. Oh, I guess that's where a little bit of your advanced scales come in, is in part 3. Okay. After these parts are mastered, Hanon recommends all the exercises to be played through daily to retain technique. Nice. I think if I remember right, I think it takes about an hour to play through it, give or take. I forget. But I remember hearing something about it being about an hour or a little bit over to play through the whole book. I could be wrong. But yeah. Okay, some criticisms. Some detractors, such as Abby Whiteside. Why does that name sound familiar? Who is Abby Whiteside? Abby Whiteside. Okay, so she's dead. Was an American piano teacher. She changed the finger-centric approach much of classical piano teaching instead of advocating a holistic attribute of the arm and the torso are the conductors for musical image, yada yada yada. Ideas, criticisms. Okay, so that is Abby Whiteside. Look her up if you want to learn more about Abby Whiteside. Okay, so back to this. I'm going to close this section here. So, Abby Whiteside did not like this book. Have dismissed the very notion of finger independence, which are intended to engage isolating instead the only I cannot read insisting instead that only a technique based on the use of the humerus can be effective. What? Humerus? Humerus? Humerus is a long bone. Let's see how it's. I can't read that. Humeri. I think it's humerus. It's the long bone in the arm that runs from the shoulder to the elbow. It's the long bone in the arm that runs. Is that on the top? Well, yeah. Is that on the top part? Yeah, it runs from the elbow runs from the shoulder down to the elbow. So yes, that is the top part of the arm. Wow. I need to take anatomy again. I need to know where my bones are. Yeah. That's those muscle. That's that. I gotta look at that muscle group in that arm. And then the two lower bones in the arm are the radius and the ulna. And then, yeah. So, okay. So she says playing from the humerus is really important, can be effective. How believes that Hanan Schmidt or Czerny have been useful for beginning pianists, affording variety as an alternative to endless practicing of scales and arpeggios, which warns against the idea of technical exercises as panacea. I don't know what that is. Or is it panacea? I don't know. And it's got this big long quote, which I really don't want to read. But I'm going to read it. There is nothing more dulling for hours spent in mindlessly going up over finger patterns. This does not prepare you to be either a pianist or a musician. Too often, teachers assign technical exercises as a shortcut for technical mastery. It is easier to assign pages from an exercise book than to analyze and break down the physical elements of specific difficult passage in music. Dorothy Taubman, she's like one of these people that did like, I don't know, it's a technique thing. I think she's more of a whole body thing. And Alexander, there's a guy named Alexander, he does the same thing. I should say similar. Is one of the well-known pedagogues for campaign against technical exercise, asserting that they do far more damage than good. Certainly, indiscriminate practicing of exercises can damage a pianist just as forcing repetition of difficult piece. In my mind, the question should not be whether or not to use technical exercises as much as how to think physically at the piano. And then there's references and external links. Yeah, there's an image of Charles Louis. Oh no, it sounds like he might be French. I think he's French. I don't have very much, I don't experience anything detrimental when I do Hanan. Or, now I think a lot of the stuff that I've experienced with, stretching and things, I think it's just that I haven't played in 10 years. But, I haven't really experienced anything like hand issues or anything. The funny thing was after I left university, I got tendonitis on my left thumb. No, my right thumb. So I don't know what happened there. But yeah. So yeah, virtuosity has, I don't think it has anything to do with speed, but it just has to do with a great command of the instrument, we can say. Great command of whatever it is that you're doing. So, okay, I need to get ready for choir, and I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.